Hi, I'm Jen, and this is the Asians and Bloom podcast, where we have conversations around honoring where you came from while becoming the most authentic version of yourself. I have a very special guest with me here today, Annie, who founded Burnout BFF. I'm really excited to have her here. She's going to share more of her story about how she created this community to help people with burnout. Welcome.
Thank you, Jen. It's funny how after I started working on things that are more aligned with who I am, I started meeting people that are in the same space and we met on social media very randomly.
I remember I saw you had posted an event, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait, that's in the same city I'm in." And then I actually ended up going to that event and met her in
Yes.
person. You're also Taiwanese. I don't meet a lot of her in this space in Seattle, but you recently moved to Seattle, right?
Yeah. I used to be in the Bay Area working in tech and was super burned out and I had to take a medical leave last year, which I think similar experiences, right? I was really shocked by how physically and mentally exhausted I was from burnout. I always thought that it was just like, oh, you're feeling overwhelmed or unmotivated at work. My body physically couldn't continue working. I was crying every day. I couldn't sleep. I was having really bad anxiety attacks. I was just shocked by how much burnout affected my physical body and health. So after I took the medical leave, I really reflected on how I want to build my career moving forward and do something that is more sustainable and intentional for my health, my life. But that experience just really changed my viewpoint about work and life because I think as Asian Americans, there's that model minority myth. I felt like I was definitely on that track of going to a good school. I got an MBA degree because I wanted to advance my career, get promoted, and get into big tech. All of that was taking a toll on my mental health. But I think I did have to go through all of that and hit a breaking point for me to realize we got to live a life that's more aligned with who we are. So that's what I'm all about right now. It's a lot of going back to our authentic selves and embracing our inner child. So I transitioned from tech to focusing on making art and writing now.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I really relate. We talked a lot about how I also took medical leave and
Hmm.
hit a breaking point. I feel like we have a lot of overlap in
Yeah.
wanting to build a more meaningful life and just work on that creative side of us, right?
Yeah.
And you also mentioned the model minority myth,
Hmm.
and I just wanted to learn more about when you were growing up
Hmm.
and how your parents impacted you in terms of what did they teach you about what type of person you should become and all of that.
Yeah. This is a very complicated subject, especially for Asian Americans. I'm still actively processing this topic because since I burned out and left corporate, I've just been doing a lot of work to figure out like, okay, how did I get to this point, right? Burnout usually stems from decades of patterns. So for me, I'm trying to uncover the reasons for me being who I am right now. My parents, they're actually pretty open minded in terms of not forcing me towards the doctor path or the engineer path. But I think as an immigrant, you have that internalized pressure because you knew that your parents sacrificed a lot to bring you to a different country. So you owe it to them to be successful. At least that's my mentality growing up. And also just like a survival aspect to it too. Being an immigrant, you don't have as much support in terms of your more distant family or community. I felt like I grew up in a kind of emotionally detached environment, especially after moving to the US. And that definitely contributed to my burnout as well, because I felt like eldest daughter syndrome, felt like I had to prove myself, I have to work hard and give back to my family. But in reality, the things that I was doing were really stressful on me and who I want to be. But actually, I've always been an artist and writer since I was little. I loved writing when I was in Taiwan. So it was really hard for me to move here because I had to kind of give up writing in Chinese.
Oh,
And that was like learning a new language and giving up something that I was really proud of in order to survive in a new culture. Now that I think back, it shifts our identity. So I had to shift that and figure out how to get into a good college. And I went to UCLA, which was honestly a dream come true. But then after that, I was like, okay, I gotta go into big tech and get an MBA degree. It's just like never ending.
at what age did you move
Oh,
here to
yeah.
Taiwan?
So I moved here when I was 12. So that's also an
Oh.
interesting age. Back then, I thought it was a good age because at least I knew Chinese, like I had a foundation, and I really value that actually. I'm fluent in Chinese and can still read and write. But at the same time, now I'm thinking back, I was basically going to be a teenager. So that period
Wow.
was really interesting. Yeah, I did not like middle school or even high school, but I also think that's just normal, Still being someone new to a completely different culture definitely added to the discomfort.
Yeah, that's really challenging because you're going through puberty and you just immigrated to the US.
Yeah.
And I do think the age has impact. Also, is how closely you are rooted in your past
Mhm.
culture and how
Mhm.
much you're willing to open up to the new culture too.
Yeah.
And for you, you were already gonna become a teenager, and you said you were really passionate about writing in Chinese.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even now, when you're writing, do you feel like Chinese or English helps you express yourself better?
Yeah. So what's sad is that because I have been here for what, 20 years now, and obviously going to college and a grad program and working, now I write in English, but it's still my second language, right? So I'm kind of in that interesting phase of like I can write in both, but I'm not happy with either, if that makes sense. But
Mhm.
this is like a tangent.
No, that's really
Yeah.
interesting that you don't even feel like you can fully express yourself in either of those languages in writing at least.
I mean, now it's more English, obviously, but certain emotions you can't fully express the same way.
I can relate because with Chinese, when I talk to my parents, I feel like there's so much I want to say to them, but I can't because I don't
Mm,
know Chinese as well. So
yeah.
I can feel like they don't quite understand either.
Yeah, it's really interesting how languages affect how you think and speak, and also just like how you think in terms of culture. Actually, I made a video about how burnout is not a concept in Chinese.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
burnout as a word is
Yeah.
not a concept because in Chinese culture, working hard is a virtue. So, burnout as a health symptom is a very medical term, but as like colloquial term, it doesn't really exist. If you talk about burnout, people are like, yeah, but you gotta work hard to get to where you
Mhm.
want to be, I definitely also think that burnout is a very real, but not as talked about topic amongst Asian Americans because we are conditioned and internalize a lot of these values growing up from our parents, from immigrant families, right?
Yeah.
You got to work hard to succeed when you're an immigrant. I think all of those things, when I'm processing my own burnout, I realized are contributors to what is it called? The millennial
Yeah.
career midlife crisis, or like there's an burnout epidemic in general with everything going on, like AI taking over people's jobs, layoffs, and just the economy being really disrupted. It's now all bubbling up to the surface.
Yeah, everyone is going through this. And oh, recently I saw something where instead of a career crisis, they're like, oh no, it's an upgrade. Like we're upgrading.
I like that. Yeah,
Everything.
yeah. I
Yeah.
do think, especially with AI now, I believe that things that are more aligned to our passion and creativity and mental health and more spiritual type of topics are actually more relevant now. Things that are more like psychology, building community, these are things that you cannot replace with AI, right? Like
Yeah.
art and true
Yeah.
artistic resonance or building a genuine community with other humans. All those things you cannot get from talking to ChatGPT. This is also why I decided to leave tech last year when I was super burned out because I was just thinking like, where are we even in this world, right? Like this is crazy. Like what's happening? And I felt that pull towards thinking about who are you actually? Like what are we doing with our lives? Are we just 9 to 5 and doing things that are contributed to shareholder values?
Right, right. Having worked in tech. And I do feel like nowadays, if you see something, you can tell right away that's AI generated. It
Yeah.
just doesn't feel original. And
Yeah.
people are craving more authentic art. And you said that when you were younger, you also
Mhm.
enjoyed doing art. What kind of art did you do?
Yeah, in general, I was very much into painting and drawings. I read a lot of manga. So I did a lot of manga characters. I think I like drawing people. So now I'm going back to that. It's funny how when you look back to what you were doing as a child and what you're doing now and what you love, it always connects. Like dots
Yeah.
always connect. For me now, I do a lot of portraits. I feel like connecting that young Annie's love to draw manga characters, but now I love drawing myself and other people. I like using portraits to tell people stories. And right now, what I'm really interested in is using self expression to heal from shame and other types of emotions like anger. Because when I was burned out, I realized there was a lot of rage because I just felt like there was a lot of emotion stuck inside me. And because I was suppressing it at work, I was burned out. Like it made me sick. like physically. I realized that drawing it out helped me release a lot of that energy. And I actually have stuff
Oh,
I thought it would be interesting to show because
yeah.
I have a lot of sketchbooks that I kept. So this is one of them. And there were two portraits that I drew when I was burned out at work. This was when I was really angry. I was so angry that I just used oil pastels and I just drew myself like an angry woman. At night, I was just processing how much rage I felt. And then afterwards, I felt better. So then the next one was this, which is a lot more peaceful. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see.
yeah, I
Yeah,
can see
yeah.
it.
I thought it's so
Wow.
interesting. Like I didn't even know what I was doing after I released that rage. Now I'm like, okay, I'm peaceful again.
You
Yeah,
draw
and even the colors are different. So this was when I was going through burnout, and then during medical leave, this whole journal was my sketch and writing. I read The Artist's Way during my leave, and it literally healed me. If you're a creative person, I highly recommend reading The Artist's Way because there were like structured exercises to help you rethink about what being an artist is. Like everyone is an artist. It doesn't matter if you actually do traditional art. Like everyone is creative, and I feel like we suppress that part of ourselves a lot of times, especially as we grow up and have more responsibilities. Is just me
Oh,
letting it all out. Like, I think at first I actually didn't even have colors, but then as I healed, I started adding colors. And I don't know. I just thought it's like a just real representation of my healing.
I love that. Wait, how do you decide on what colors to choose? I'm curious about that process.
But it's really intuitive. A lot of times I'm experimenting, but I love colors. I feel like colors is how I express myself. So honestly, I just choose whatever speaks to me. But yeah, that's a big part of how I release my energy through colors, through paints, through actively letting out through my fingers.
And you mentioned you were also trying to help other people teach them how to do something
Oh,
similar.
yes. Yeah, because I get so much healing from what I do with art. I lead burnout recovery workshops based on my personal experience and researching into burnout and understanding the importance of healing your nervous system. I am really passionate about the creative reflection aspect of my workshops, which is actually taking the time to really sit with yourself and sit with your intuitive creativity. And I have this whole framework about healing your nervous system. And a big part of that is you need to have time for joy, which is just doing things that are not related to the outcome. Put away your beliefs about being productive or performance because we already all have to do that at work, like performance reviews and like worry about the outcome of your projects. So focusing on the joy part is literally you are giving yourself time to not think about all those external validation things, but really just letting your inner child and creativity shine through doing something with your hands. So the workshops that I do are related to like working with watercolor, just like easy things. But then I usually have a theme of like, let's use colors, or I want to do something with tarot cards next time. But just like things that help guide you through connecting to your intuition. Because I feel like a lot of times we're so focused on the external world that we don't listen to ourselves. And I also really love free association writing as well, that I include in my workshop because I went on a writing retreat last year and we did some brainstorm writing exercises. And I was so surprised by the outcome of those exercises because I had no expectation. It's just supposed to be warm ups and you do it within 2-minute intervals of writing. But then I loved the poem that came out of those exercises because when you are uninhibited and when you're not expecting something to turn out a certain way, you're actually surprised by the result and what is authentic comes out of you. So that's why I also include that part in my creative workshops because I feel like it's a really great way to connect with yourself. And then another really special element of it is the reflection part, which is you're like reading aloud what you wrote or like sharing the colors that you painted with other people in a small group. I was so surprised by how inspired I was by just seeing how people's souls shine through their work, through their art, through their writing, and how different and unique, but also connected we are as humans. There's a lot of shared emotions that we all feel when people are talking about some of the things that they're going through, some of the struggles. But at the same time, you see what they write and the colors they put on their page, and it's like, wow, it's so vibrant. And you just know people are so resilient. Even talking about this, I'm getting emotional.
Yeah.
And everyone got super emotional during the workshop too. And I was so surprised by how open and vulnerable people are and the healing power of just honoring your creativity and who you are.
It sounds like you were able to create a safe space for them to even open up.
That's what I want to do. My mission with Burnout BFF is that I want the community to be a safe space for people to embrace who they are. For me, shame and rage are two big emotions that I suppressed for a long time. I'm sure a lot of cultures too, but especially being Asian, I feel like there's a lot of shame associated with how we grow up. There's a lot of family secrets. You're supposed to just suppress and not talk about it, or feel like you're wrong, or feel like you're not accepted. Art is my way of using that. So there's a series that I'm doing right now with my painting, and it's called a self-acceptance portrait series. And it's me painting myself, but I use photos that have negative memories associated. And either because maybe when I was taking the photo, I was feeling anxious, or like maybe I look at the photo and I didn't like it. Maybe there was a part of me that I was trying to hide. And for me, making these into self portraits, like even the process of doing it was really healing because instead of judging the photo, I'm now just looking at it truly. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta make this into a painting. And I feel like, how do you say if a self portrait is good or bad?
Right.
It's so
Yeah.
subjective. It's just art. So doing that, the process itself is super healing. And that's something that I also want to offer in the future, like self-portrait workshop. And I feel like especially society is so critical of women's appearance.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So for me, self-portrait is a good way to unlearn a lot of these internalized insecurities.
Yeah. I think art is almost like the opposite of Asian culture where you can't make
Mhm.
mistakes. In art, you can't do anything wrong because it's your creations.
Yeah. And even the mistakes is a part of the art.
Yeah.
Like,
It could be,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have so many.
Oh, thanks for bringing all
Like,
that.
for example, this is a self-portrait that I did when I was recovering from burnout, and I just experimented. This was not planned at all. You can actually see some mistakes. There were like a lot of experimentation marks and things like that, but I literally just did it intuitively. And then it came out. I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. And then this was actually exhibited at a local gallery recently, and I was like, wow, even that experience changed my viewpoint about what good art is. I thought good art is supposed to be like planned or like you spend a lot of hours on it.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, no, this is beautiful. This came out from me authentically. There's mistakes, but it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, the colors are just so vivid and lively. Like you're like
Hmm.
coming back to life, right?
Yeah, I love colors. And then I have another one. This is also very personal to me. This is one of the self-acceptance portrait that I did. This is a kind of a reimagined graduation photo from college. So I have a birthmark on my right face, which I usually avoid taking in photos. And I remember when I was taking this photo, it was like a group graduation photo. I was thinking like, I hope we're taking the left side of my face. And I remember feeling really anxious, even though the photo turned out amazing and I really loved that whole experience taking photos with my friends. Painting this was really healing because I just decided to reimagine if I have taken it on my right side and still feeling very peaceful about it. It's like I'm embracing all parts of me. Why do I need to hide a certain part just because it doesn't fit aesthetic standards?
It's gorgeous. Like all the is that like flowers in your hair or you just look so
Yeah,
happy.
peaceful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like painting this, I was so anxious though when I was taking the
When you
photo.
were taking
So like this is me trying to
like relax.
let go of that. Yeah.
It's like reclaiming the photos. I love
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
love that idea.
there was another one that I did recently. I just hated the photo. I was so awkward and anxious, and I repainted it as like the high priestess from tarot. High priestess is like the tarot symbol of intuition and connecting with the unconscious, and she's like very serious and regal. So I turned a awkward and stiff photo of me into the high priestess because I was like, okay, this is a part of me as well. I'm not always smiley. I'm not always
Yeah.
bubbly, even though I usually prefer photos of me looking happy, right? Like whenever I look stiff and awkward, I'm like, ugh, I don't like that
Yeah.
photo. But I'm like, no. I embrace that part of me as well. And I will turn that into someone powerful. So it's again reclaiming the power from whatever shame or internalized values we have of ourselves into something that speaks to me more. And for me, this process is unlearning a lot of the things that honestly burn us out. because burnout is just a symptom, right? Everything else is just like tip of the iceberg when you look at burnout. Because when we talk about burnout, it's like, oh, you don't like your job, or like your job is stressful, or like you have a toxic relationship with work, or like you have a micromanager. Obviously, the external stressors are important to address, but I think the internal work is actually the hardest part, is looking at what about ourselves are we holding on to that we feel like we need to stay in this environment that's still toxic? Or why is there a pattern of me burning out in these environments? I thought I have changed one element, but what's not working? So for me, it's like I've gone down this rabbit hole of figuring out why did I burn out so bad? And all of the things that I do now is healing that inner child that felt like I had to perform, that felt like I have to do certain things to be accepted and loved. And that shows up in your life, in your relationships, at work, and all of those things contributes to you running on empty. So now what I'm doing is reversing all those things and trying to live a life where super aware of who I am and won't be forcing myself to do things that are not aligned with my values, because I realized that was what burning me out in the first place. So I'm just trying to help others recover and build intentional careers and lives through ways that resonate, if that makes sense.
Like you're using what helped you.
Yeah.
And that's what you know best too.
Yeah. I left my job last year and I knew I wanted to build something that aligns with my values. But I intentionally took a year to experiment and not think about like, okay, I gotta immediately jump into the new business idea. I'm gonna take the time to heal and figure out what actually makes sense given my strengths, my experience, my skill set, and what can I offer to the world. That's my approach. When I did my creative reflection workshop the next day, I was reflecting on it. I was like, wow, I felt it in my bones. Because I think before in our 20s, when we're chasing after titles and career ladders, like that's what you should do, you know? But then the connection is different when you're doing something that really speaks to your soul. So I feel very grateful and fortunate that I can do that now and I have found it. And I want to help others to go through that, to feel the same way.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I was wondering, what would you tell your younger self now?
I'm doing a lot of inner child work right now, so this is super relevant.
Oh, perfect.
I think I would just say to her that I'm proud of her for not giving up and always trying her best, even when things are rough. And it's because of the work that she did that I'm able to be here right now. So I'm really grateful. I don't know if you have done this before, but I do writing a letter from your future self. I try to do this whenever I'm in an uncertain period of my life, or like I just want to do some self affirmations. And then one thing that is super important is that I always think myself, my current self, from my future self.
Oh,
So I'm writing as if I'm already living the dream life. It's a manifestation exercise. I'm talking to myself now from a year later.
I'll try that.
Yeah. It's really important to not forget to be grateful of all the work that you're doing right now. It's like the same thing with the inner child thing. Yeah. Like I wouldn't be here without her. Like she didn't even know, but she was doing the work.
Oh, yeah. And it seems like you've been doing a lot of healing, like really going deep, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the key. If you don't go deep, then you might always end up in the same cycle.
I don't think I would have gone this deep without that really bad burnout episode. I was already burned out multiple times throughout my
Yeah.
career, but it's always like, oh, it's okay. Like, this is just part of grinding, climbing the corporate ladder. Once I get to the other side, it'll be worth it. I'll be happy. But then you get there and you're like, actually, I feel miserable. Like, why? So I think it takes time and yeah, it's hard work.
Yeah. But it's okay because you're here to help people.
Yeah.
So-
It's less alone when you do it together. you know?
Yeah. Much more powerful. You just regulate each other or something.
Yeah, I think it's like you're being seen as well. I feel like if you're just in your head all the time, it can feel isolating. That's
Yeah.
actually a big part of burnout too. You don't talk about it at work. You're not supposed to. So it can feel isolating. And I feel like a lot of people are going through that right now.
Yeah. There's a big shift going on in the world.
I think people are disillusioned with what was promised by the American dream or capitalism. And
Yeah.
then seeing like, oh, what? We work so hard. And then like, what's happening with the world? There's definitely a lot of that energy right now, which could be disruptive, but it helps us upgrade. Like what you're saying.
Yeah, I like that.
We'll glow up.
Yeah, glow up.
You gotta be like your dark self for a while before you glow up. You know?
Yeah, it's so true. And what are you looking forward most in the future, whether it's for Burnout BFF or just for anything else?
Yeah, I think I'm just really excited to grow my creative reflection workshops. I'm continuing my art series of addressing shame, doing self portraits, And eventually, I want to offer that as a workshop as well for people to be able to heal from self portraits. And yeah, just continuing my artist journey. It's kind of funny. I just feel like I'm the complete opposite of what I was doing before, which was in tech. Now I'm like spiritual artist and doing creative workshops. But honestly, this is more who I am.
Yeah, that's the real
Yeah.
Annie.
Yeah.
I'm curious, since you're so different now, how do people around you perceive that big change?
I feel like everyone's very supportive because I feel like when you're doing things that align with who you are, people can see that and just like, yeah, you do you. At least I feel like I'm a better version of myself now.
Yeah.
Before, when I was in tech and technically successful, right? Like on paper, I was like great, but I was really miserable inside. And I felt like that shows through, right?
Yeah.
Even my husband, he was like, oh,
Oh, no.
he's happy that I'm happy now. He could
Okay.
tell that I was depressed. Yeah, so I think people around you can tell when you're living your best life and doing
Yeah.
what you're meant to do.
Yeah, I think the energy around you is so much. Like
Yeah.
people can feel it, see it. So obvious when you are living truly what you're meant to do. And
Yeah. This is also why I'm like mental health equals physical health, right? Because everything shows and everything's gonna manifest in physical symptoms.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if your mental health is in a bad state, that will eventually show up as digestive problems or like autoimmune disease or even just like your skin is bad.
Yeah.
Because it's your nervous system dysregulated for so long.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah.
that's going to affect your health in the long term, right? So, this is why I'm like, burnout is a health issue. We need to talk about it more because it's actually actively affecting our well being, especially as a woman, too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
women has a lot of stress. I wrote a whole Substack post on the uterus tax and how just being a woman in corporate and how much that affects your health. There's some crazy stat about how 70% of mental health leave are taken by women. And then also, it was like a staggering number. I think it was 70% of autoimmune disease patients are women, and
Okay.
it's due to chronic stress. And I was like, there's definitely the correlation.
Yeah.
When I was doing the research, I was flabbergasted. I was like, oh my God, I know how bad it is, but I didn't know it's this bad.
Yeah. And I heard there's limited research too on women's health.
For
There's so
sure.
many gaps.
Just even reproductive health for women is so under researched, and also women's pain is kind of ignored when it comes to pain medication. Well, a lot of the women's complaints are brushed away.
Yes.
It's like, oh, hormones or like emotional, blah blah blah.
Get it.
Yeah. There's a lot of work to be done. This is why I'm like, embrace all the emotions. Let all the emotions out. Be angry. Be sad.
Yes.
It's fine. We have hold onto our emotions for so long. And when that happens, I mean, I see that with our previous generation.
Oh, yeah. And definitely want to check out that article. But yeah, speaking of Substack, what's your Substack or where else can we find
Oh,
you?
yes. I actually just built my website. It's eannie.com. And then my Substack is burnoutbff.com. I also have an Instagram where I post my art. I'm also on LinkedIn. I used to do some spicy takes about tech and AI and stuff, but I'm like more peaceful now. And I'm moving on my art and stuff. Yeah, I need to go back and talk a little bit more about that on LinkedIn too. Because I feel like LinkedIn is where all the burnout people are.
That's so
You
true.
know? But yeah, that's where I'm at. You can find me there. Instagram, Substack.
And your website. And one last question. How did you come up with the name Burnout BFF?
Oh, that's a really good question. I didn't even realize that burnout would be a topic that I would talk about until I openly shared my burnout story on LinkedIn and it went viral. And I realized, wow, okay, I guess everyone's burned out. Because I was sharing my medical leave experience. I saw a lot of people around me were going through the same thing. And I was like, hey, take medical leave if you need. This is a resource, like a benefit that we pay into. And that literally changed my life. So I just wanted to share that openly on LinkedIn. That was also part of how I healed because I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm going to talk about what I care about instead of censoring myself. And then, yeah, it went viral, ended up being featured on Business Insider with my story. And so that's when I was like, oh, okay, I guess burnout is a big topic. I'm really passionate about it. Seems like a lot of people are burned out, so I'm going to talk about burnout. And then I was like, going through a lot of different names, but then Burnout BFF just had a ring to it. And it sounds friendly and it's not too long. For me, it's like when you feel connected to something, you're like, okay.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. For me, my philosophy is I'm not trying to be a teacher or a coach or someone who is above you. I am someone who is your friend, and it's less isolating when there are other people who are going through the same thing. So for me, it's like I want to be that presence that is a friend.
Yeah, it's
That's just
catchy.
kinda Yeah, so that's kind of the story.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Annie, for coming onto my podcast and
Thank
sharing your
you.
journey so openly and all your artwork
Oh, yeah,
too.
thank you. I'm glad. Thank you for letting me share my art, something I'm very passionate about, and I'm glad we met.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And one thing I also like to do with my guests is just say goodbye in another one of their languages besides English. So
Oh,
I guess that
okay.
would be Mandarin.
Yeah, 再见。
再见。